Hello. Long time, no talk. But today I'm here with information on the Paris Catacombs, which coincidentally is the banner to my YouTube is the Paris Catacombs. Let me open this. And I wanted to make another October themed video. It's not too much longer. October is going to be here, so I figured that I would need something. I wanted to make a video on Paris Catacombs. I can't even really think of yada 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 yada. But excuse me. But the point of today's video is to go over what I can find on it. So right here, I looked up Paris Catacombs history as the Google search, and the Copilot search, the AI summary. It says the origins and creation. The history of the Paris Catacombs dates back to the 1st century, when the Romans began mining limestone beneath what is now Paris. These ancient quarries would later become the foundation for the ossuary. By the late 18th century, Paris faced severe public health issues due to overcrowded cemeteries, particularly the Cimetière des Innocence. Innocence, which had become unsanitary and hazardous. In response to these conditions, authorities decided to transfer the remains from various cemeteries to the abandoned quarries, leading to the creation of the catacombs. The transfer of bones began in 1975 or 1785. Excuse me very much. 1785, and continued until 1787. 1785 to 1787 is when all of those bones were actually brought into the catacombs. And if you don't know about the catacombs, there's a picture. Also, like I said, my YouTube banner is a picture of a spot in the Paris Catacombs. So, check out my channel. That's what I'm saying. With the site consecrated as the Paris Municipal Ossuary. On April 7th, 1786, the name Catacombs was adopted, drawing inspirations from the Roman catacombs, which had fascinated the public since their discovery. And if I were to look up the Roman catacombs, let me look that up real quick. Inspiration. Roman catacombs. Oh, shoot. Sorry, excuse me. The Roman catacombs, I'm going to go on images. It looks like it looks kind of similar. I don't know if that's bone, though. Oh, inspiration, though. So I'm guessing they saw the architecture of the catacombs of Rome and took that into consideration when they got this surplus of bones and human remains. So that's pretty cool. I'll leave a picture of the Roman catacombs. Next it says public access and cultural significance. The catacombs were open to the public in 1809, and since then they have attracted curiosity and visitors from around the world. The ossuary is known for its artistic arrangement of bones, which are displayed in decorative patterns along the walls, creating a unique and somber atmosphere. Modern-day catacombs. Today, the Paris Catacombs are a popular tourist attraction, drawing over 500,000 visitors annually. Only a small selection of extensive underground network, which spans over 300 kilometers, is accessible to the public. The catacombs are managed by Paris Musees, and include informational panels and guided tours to enhance the visitor experience. The catacombs not only serve as a historical site, but also reflect the cultural attitudes towards death and burial places in Paris, making them a significant part of the city's heritage. In summary, the Paris catacombs are a fascinating blend of history, art, and public health response, representing a unique aspect of Parisian culture and history. Parisian. So that is the Copilot answer search. The AI summary that they've given me on the Paris catacombs. But right now I'm gonna check on www.catacombs.paris.fr, and we're gonna see the history that it says on this website of Les Catacombs de Paris. De Paris. The history of the catacombs starts in the 18th century. Starting in 1809, the catacombs were open to the public. Since their creation, the catacombs have aroused curiosity. In the late 18th century, when major public health problems tied to the city's cemeteries led to a decision to transfer their contents to an underground site, Paris authorities chose an easily accessible site that was, at the time, located outside the capital. The former Tomb Issoire quarries under the plain of Montrouge. The first evacuations were made from 1785 to 1787, and concerned the largest cemetery in Paris, the Saints Innocence Cemetery. The site was consecrated as the quote unquote Paris Municipal Ossuary on April 7th, 1786. And from that time forward took on the mythical name of catacombs, in reference to Roman catacombs, which had fascinated the public since their discovery starting in 1809. The catacombs were open to the public by appointment. Key facts this website shows me. 20 meters of depth, a 5-story building. 20 meters. 243 steps in the Paris catacombs. There are 131 steps to go down and 112 steps to climb up. 1,500 meters for this 1.5 kilometers circuit plan on an hour-long visit. An hour-long visit is how long you should expect to be in the Paris catacombs. And 11,000 M2 or no, that's not M squared, because M squared would be the little 2 on top. But M2 meter of total area. M2. What is M2? Let's look that up real quick. M2 distance. First to second metatarsal distance. And then I'll show on screen a little explanation, a little simplified version of what that is. Okay. The history of the catacombs. Site history. Okay. Okay. Now we're in the thick of it. So, the history of the Paris catacombs start in the late 18th century, when major public health problems tied to the city's cemeteries led to a decision to transfer their contents to an underground site, as we said before. Paris authorities chose an easily accessible site that was, at the time, located outside the capital. Okay. The former Tomb Issoire quarries under the plain of Montrouge. In operation since at least the 15th century and then abandoned, these quarries were a small part of the labyrinth that extended under the city, approximately 800 hectares, I believe. I'll leave the definition right there. Preparation of the site and the organization of bone transfers were entrusted to Charles Axel Guillemot, Guillemot, excuse me, an inspector at the Department of General Quarry Inspection. The mission of this department, which had been founded on April 4th, 1777 by Louis XVI. I don't know if that's the 16th, I believe. VI is 6 and X is 10, I think. I believe so. Was to consolidate the abandoned quarries following major collapses of the ground under Paris in the mid 18th century. The first evacuations were made from 1785 to 1787 and concerned the largest cemetery in Paris, the Saints Innocence Cemetery, which had been closed in 1780 after consecutive use for nearly 10 centuries. The tombs, common graves, and charnel house were emptied of their bones, which were transported at night to avoid hostile reactions from the Parisian population and the church. The bones were dumped into 2 quarry wells and then distributed and piled into the galleries by the quarry workers. Transfers continued after the French Revolution until 1814. Until 1814. With the suppression of parochial cemeteries, such as Saint Eustache, Saint Nicholas des Champs, and the Bernardins Convent in the center of Paris. They were begun again, actually, in 1840 during urban renovation by Louis Philippe Philip and the Haussmannian reconfiguration. Excuse me, I'm unfamiliar with anything to do with French or France, anything. So please excuse that I'm trying to understand what it is I'm reading. But the Bernardins, Saint Nicholas de Champs, and the Bernardins Convent in the center of Paris. They were begun again in 1840 during urban renovation by Louis Philippe and the Haussmannian reconfiguration of the city from 1859 to 1860. The site was consecrated as the Paris, quote unquote, Paris Municipal Ossuary on April 7th, 1786, and from that time forward took on the mythical name of Catacombs in reference to the Roman catacombs, which had fascinated the public since their discovery. Starting in 1809, the catacombs were open to the public by appointment. A register was placed at the end of the circuit where visitors could write their impressions. It was filled very rapidly because these visits had quickly become a success with both French and foreigners. As the years passed, the ossuary became the resting place of many illustrious individuals. In 1787, the Count of Artois, the future Charles X, Charles X, visited the site in the company of a group of court ladies. In 1814, Francis I, the Austrian emperor, took a tour there, and in 1860, Napoleon III descended into the catacombs with his son. During the 19th century, visiting arrangements constantly changed from total closing to monthly or quarterly openings. The Paris catacombs are now open to everyone without requiring an authorization and welcome nearly 550,000 visitors yearly. And there's a picture of the Paris catacombs. I'm unsure if I'm able to legally show this picture exactly, so I'll throw up a picture just to throw up, you know. Chronology. 53 million years ago, end of sedimentation. Paris and the surrounding area are a vast swampy plain. 47 million years ago, the sea covers the north of France, which had been flattened by erosion. Start of formation of the Lutetian banks. 1st century AD, first open pit quarries. 14th century, first underground quarries. 1774, severe collapse of Rue d'Enfer Rochereau. 300 meters were swallowed up. September 15th, 1776, Louis the 14th, or 16th actually, I believe, signs a decree that definitively prohibits extracting material from underground public roads. From under the public roads, actually. April 4th, 1777, Louis the 16th creates the Department of General Quarry Inspection, which is in charge of protecting Parisian quarries. 1780, closing of the Saints Innocence Cemetery. April 7th, 1786, benediction and consecration of the tomb ossuary quarries, which become the municipal ossuary, known as the catacombs. 1787 through 1814, transfer of the bones from the parochial cemeteries of Paris. 1809, opening of the ossuary to the public. 1810 through 1814, rearrangement of the ossuary by Inspector Hericart de Thury. 1860, last bones deposits following urban development undertaken by Haussmann. 2002, attachment of the catacombs to the Carnavalet Museum. History of Paris, which continues to promote the site. 2017, inauguration of the new exit and the bookstore boutique. They have a bookstore in there. That's insane. 2019, inauguration of the new entrance in the restored Ledoux house. Ledoux. Yes. Let's take a look at the architecture just for a second. Okay, well, yes. It didn't show me any pictures, but it gave me a lot of words. So I'll spare you from hearing me read, as that is pretty insufferable if I am a reader myself. But I will be throwing up the words, the definitions of pictures, and I'll just be showing some pictures of the catacombs as speaking on this. But I did just want to make a quick video, almost 20 minutes, and thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and hey, happy October and a new year.